Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey, I just tried to figure out if I could hold my stomach in for the entire show, but it won't work because the minute I stop consciously thinking about it, I relax. Anyway, hello. It's April 5. Susan should be on the line. Hi, Suze.
But why would you want to do such a thing? That's not even good for you.
Well, it is, because I need to strengthen it because my back's been hurting. So okay. I need to.
But just holding it for a solid hour is not the exercise that flexing and releasing.
All right, good. Well, then that's what I'll end up doing.
Okay.
But I mean, because because I mean, it's not normal to hold your stomach. Does anyone, is anyone's default to be pulling in your stomach muscles? That's not a default setting, right?
No. That's not it. Relaxation is default, except for facial muscles for sometimes. For some reason, my default is sometimes all screwed up.
Well, that's because you're tense.
Oh.
And, there's many reasons to be tense.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, I have one right here. It's my favorite headline so far of the day. And hysterically, it was on page 7 of the local paper. But here's the headline. It seems to me if we were taking this stuff seriously, it'd be on page 1 in, a million-point type. Here's the headline. It's from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette this morning, page 7. Earth on track to becoming unlivable.
Right.
Yeah. So, it shows how totally we pay no attention to it. That's the headline. That's a story. It's out some United Nations, and it's on page 7.
Right.
Hello, the place here. Anyway, so what I just thought that was funny. Ha ha.
Well, it's right in line with how Americans. It's really right in line with how Americans actually view children. This is, I think, a really clear lens. If you want to know how people actually view children, look at what they do that impacts their futures.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Or don't
we don't
do.
Give a,
or don't
we
do
don't give
that
a,
impacts
we don't
their
give
futures.
We don't give a damn about them in terms of public policy. Although, apparently, I don't want to get into that. It's too fraught. But it brings me to this next thing that I do want to talk about. It was a question asked by somebody on Twitter. And it's a question that I think we've talked about. Anyone who's thinking has wondered this. Here's the question, not particularly artfully put, but are we living through traumatic event after traumatic event? Or are we just the first generation with worldwide communication and social media, and life has actually always been this fucking horrific? It's a good question.
I actually think that this is about as on the precipice, and for some people, as horrific as it's ever been. Certainly for people in Ukraine, they've got World War III, they've got the pandemic, they've got, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's because we are more aware than any other cohort of human beings that have ever populated this dying planet.
Yeah, well, I would agree with that, except for the nature of the things that we are undergoing right now. And believe me, we would have known what was going on in Ukraine, maybe not instantaneously, but within a few days. We would have known that there was a worldwide pandemic. Yes, we would have.
Okay, but I've got, here's some of the responses on Twitter, just to make this a little more, okay. Somebody posted this. and I think they're correct. The world, by basically every meaningful metric, is by far the most peaceful it's ever been. The rates of global poverty, poor health, war, poor education, among many other factors, have been in unbelievably steep decline for the past 40 years. We don't in any way look at, and we've been trained to do this, as our media has trained us. We only look at the negative and not the positive, right?
Well, that's why Biden's doing so poorly.
Yeah, yeah. So if you were born in, like, our grandmother was born in 1901. Okay. So in the course of her short life, she still, saw, let's say, the San Francisco earthquake. You would think the world was coming to an end with that. World War I, the Spanish flu, the stock market crash, the horrors of prohibition and
women getting the vote.
And women getting the vote, which was a actual good thing, but she was born into a world in which she did not have the vote. Then you have, we get World War II, we get the Holocaust, we get an atom bomb, we get 2 atom bombs, and then we get the Cold War and the threat of nuclear annihilation hanging over our heads. As children, we get, duck and cover under our desks in case the Russians, blow us all to smithereens. And so stop and think of that level of extraordinary stress. Then I'm thinking of the 60s, where as a young woman, I felt like the world was spinning out of control. Our leaders were being slaughtered. Dr. King, there was President Kennedy, then there was King, and then there was Robert Kennedy. People were being murdered. You had the murders of the Kent State students. You had Vietnam War. You had children in the streets. You had generational warfare. You had this sense that things were spinning out of control. And what the country did was immediately turn away from our party, the Democratic Party, and immediately into the arms of that we'll get this under control, law and order, racist Republican Party. I got a feeling that a lot of what is happening now, we forget. We've been through these horrors before. I'm just saying. Yeah,
you left out Joseph McCarthy.
I'm sure I left out a lot. Joe McCarthy, I let out, I've been very sort of, Eurocentric. I mean, my God, there was
right. You left out
in
several
other countries. There was, Kim, Pol Pot. There was, yeah.
No, it's not to say it hasn't always been horrible, but. The fact that so many of these things are converging at the same time right now seems pretty amazing.
No, I think it's because we can't get away from it.
Well, maybe
it's because,
but I don't think it's because we wouldn't have known about it. Because if you were watching Ben Franklin last night, the Ken Burns thing,
I did. Yeah.
So there were these interesting facts, like how a letter could get back and forth quicker from London to Philadelphia than from down the south to Philadelphia, because that letter would go to London and
London first. What genius figured that out? Okay, I'm sending a letter. I'm in Georgia. I'm sending a letter to my cousin in Massachusetts. So first I send it to London. Well, that's not what they do, but that's how it goes to London, then from London back to, the other thing watching that is, again, I will argue that this shows that people had more time to digest stuff. Every time Ben Franklin got on a ship to go back and forth, it took 3 months. It took 3 months. One of the things that blew me away is when he ran away from his brother's indenture.
5 miles
in Boston, right? In Boston, he got on he talked some captain into letting him on a ship in Boston Harbor by telling him that he had impregnated a girl.
He knocked up a girl and had to get out.
Had to get out of town,
which the captain thought was a fine reason.
That's good. I'll help you, kid. And so he puts Franklin on his ship and gets him to Philadelphia. It took 11 days. Boston to Philly on a ship. 11 days. So I'm thinking things, even though, yes, things happened in real time, there was a slowness to life that allowed people to think, to contemplate, to, as Franklin did, read voraciously.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you that haven't watched it, I suggest you pick it up. It was the first one was last night, but I mean, it goes on and on and on, and you realize, oh my God, all of this stuff has happened. He's accomplished all of this. He's still in his he's retired by 40. The time he's 42, and amassed a fortune, and then starts the life that most of us know him for. And this is all before the Revolutionary War even occurs. I mean, it messes with your sense of time and what one person should be capable of accomplishing in any given lifetime.
Well, he wasn't a normal guy. He was obviously astonishing, which is why I've had, a crush on him my whole life. However,
he described himself as handsome, and I'm not so sure I'd go that far.
But that's typical male. That's typical male. There's been studies done that men look at themselves in a mirror and say,
and are satisfied.
Yeah, they say, yeah, you and women, even gorgeous women, look at themselves in a mirror and say, oh my God, oh God. Yeah, it's true. So yeah, Ben Franklin thought he was hot. Well, he was it was his personality. He was so charming and smart. But here's the thing. And sorry for those of you who didn't. Well, it doesn't matter if you didn't watch it because it's
not like it's news, right?
Yeah. I thought something fascinating that was totally glossed over. Well, because it wasn't about her. Was that Franklin left his wife for much of their marriage to go off living high on the hog, in London.
His wife and daughter. His wife and daughter.
Yeah, his wife and daughter. And later, he took his son. And then later, he goes, and this will be in tonight's episode, he does the same in France, but the wife's dead by the time he does that. So this wife, this extraordinarily long-suffering and extraordinary woman, because what it said offhandedly
was she actually ran everything.
She ran his businesses. He had 1 million businesses. When he said
he retired,
with governments.
He retired. He left his wife to do the work.
To run a ton
and his slaves and his apprentices and his slaves.
And see to the building of this big new house and take care of his child and to take care of everything of the life he decided to retire from when he was 42 and went off to have fun and could be even more consequential. And it just shows, first of all, okay, so there's a woman in the 1740s and 50s, and she's running. They never even really enumerated all of the companies he owned, but he was he had 1 million. He had a ton of them, and they were bringing it. She was running it. We don't think of women in that era. Now, he clearly always had an appreciation for women's brains. And it says so. He's very drawn to bright women. He argued that women should be able to be educated.
Yeah, ignored his own daughter.
Although he ignored his own daughter. Now, you know, it's, boy, oh boy, I got really pissed. And knowing
he had some blind spots. I mean,
yes,
and honestly, his attraction to young, bright women seemed to me more to be of a lascivious nature, and is partly why he left his daughter out.
Because he couldn't look at her like that.
Right, of course.
So the other thing, of course, and they're pretty clear about it, is how he held slaves. And in fact, when he went off gallivanting to London, it wasn't all gallivanting. He was there to do a lot of stuff because this guy never sat still. But he was having a hell of a time. I lost my friggin' train of thought.
You're talking about his slaves. And when he took slaves.
He brought two. He and his son went over to London and each had a slave. They brought two. And one of them, when they get to London, thinks, aha, and takes off. Runs for his freedom. What does Ben Franklin do? He takes out an ad, like the ads he carried in his own papers, saying, I'm looking for this runaway black guy. And describes him and says there'll be a reward if you return him to Benjamin Franklin. I'd love to know what happened to that guy.
I think nothing. I mean, I think he
No, but what happened to him? We don't. He wasn't caught.
He wasn't caught. No, we don't. How do we know?
What happened to him? Well, a black man in London. I can't imagine. So these things always, as you learn more, it begs more questions always. What do you mean Clarence hung up? I didn't even know he was there. Damn it. It's not your fault, Kevin. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I don't look at the friggin' screen.
Sorry, Clarence. Call back.
If you can. Guys, this is all on me. It's all on me. Anyway, old ladies can't multitask. Although I do in my way, but I can't. So yeah, I found there was so much stuff that was interesting. And I really didn't have the sense of how celebrated he was globally before the revolution as a scientist who they said was akin to Isaac Newton.
Right.
Unbelievable. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
People were looking at lightning, and nobody had said electricity.
No, they were still in the wrath of God stage.
Yeah. Well, I still think of it as the wrath of God. But yeah. Wow. And then, if there's a problem, he just everything he sees. I mean, the musical instrument he invented. What a riot! And here's the other thing that would seem so absolutely unthinkable to our minds today.
No, people should think about this. The
lightning rod, all these inventions.
The oven that was essentially a furnace.
Stove. Yeah, the Franklin stove. God knows how many things this guy invented. he refused to ever get a patent on any of them because, get this, he felt, hi Clarence in a sec, he felt that everything he invented should be for
the betterment of mankind.
The good of all. It's not for me to make money on it. I got enough money.
Well, he made money on it, but other people couldn't do it.
Oh, unbelievable. Hi, Clarence.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Well,
sorry.
I called last week when you guys were talking about something else, and I've been on hold for that long, and finally. They actually called about, are things worse now than they were back in the day? But,
yeah.
Well,
tell us what you think about that.
Well, real quick about Ben Franklin, just inventing stuff and, not putting patents on it, all that kind of good stuff. I've always said that, here's an idea, everybody have some fun. It was like, even with,
that's
like,
what he thought.
Here's an idea, have some fun with it. It was, because ideas are what humans do. Better than any other animal. How we pass all of our things, our ideas, our inventions, from chopping rocks into sharp objects. You just pass them down and they get better and better and better and better and better. If it was a such thing as a patent, we'd probably be in flying cars right now, and because if one person holds, the patent and nobody else.
If you hoard the information, right? If you hoard the information, it doesn't grow. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, back to that, because I've been on this kick about things not being as bad as they were since I can't think of his name now. He's a Jewish guy with a big fro. I think he's at Harvard. Steven Pinker wrote the book. The book "The Better Angels of Our Nature," and he kind of catalogs how bad things used to be and how good they are now.
Yes.
Yeah. And
well, I mean, toilet paper, I rest my case.
Flush toilets. You just stay in the bathroom. Right.
Yeah. And the fact that I can go into a public bathroom. The fact that I can go
there you go.
But they had those. Now, wait a minute. They had those. I talked about this a few months ago. One of the things they uncovered in Rome were, these long benches with, a series of round holes, and they were public toilets. Everybody just sat down next to each other. You chatted, but they
didn't have the idea of race back in the Roman days.
No, he's talking about right.
Well, that's true.
Well, finally, Susan misses something I talked about. I'm saying instead of you, Lynn. No, but it does have to do with information, because I always tell people, like, look, back when I was a kid, if there was a missing child, in Pittsburgh, it would be on Pittsburgh News. If it was a missing child in, Madison, Wisconsin, I would have never known about it.
Exactly.
But now, every missing child all over the world, you can find out, at light speed. And that, I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday, because they were talking about Ukraine, and the horrors and all that stuff. I said, yeah, but there were horrors in Vietnam. These horrors, these are just common. I said, now, I can sit there and almost watch a live stream of the horrors, but Vietnam was fast.
It was fast.
But it was faster than World War II. And World War II was faster than World War I.
Yeah.
And there's no video of, the Civil War.
There's pictures, though.
Well, not videos, but there's horrific pictures.
Sorry.
No. But I absolutely agree in regard to your missing children analogy. Another thing that has helped make us all crazy and divided is that if one, let's say, county council person in, I don't know, Boise says something totally absurd, stupid, whatever, who would ever know? Maybe most of the people in Boise wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But if it will rile up one side of the political divide or the other. It's on Fox News, it's on CNN, it's on all of our, social media. And we begin to feel like things are much worse than they are, but this makes it worse. It exacerbates.
The thing I've noticed, it's been a lot of years now, is the word, how they,
right.
They are doing this, and they. I'm like, who are they? You trust the government? Huh? The government? What part of the government? The government? Huh? It's like these big, I don't know, non-corporeal things are scaring the hell out of people.
But with some reason, I had a right winger say to me, "Well, I mean, we're living with Big Brother now." And I said, "Well, who's Big Brother exactly?" And he said, "Well, the government." And I said, "No, Big Brother is Amazon and Google. Big Brother is corporate international corporate.
Right. They're the ones that are spying on you for crying out loud.
If it's a government, it's the Chinese government more than your government. So people don't even get mad at the right people."
Yeah, and I agree with that, the whole corporation thing, because I was talking about gas prices. I said, gas prices don't have to be that high. I said, if all they need to do is take less profit.
That's right.
The companies could just take less profit, or be good citizens and take a loss for a while if they wanted to.
Well, no, they certainly can't do that, Clarence, because nobody drove for 2 years, and there was nothing they could do about that except create the current shortage and supply issues so that they can make the money back.
Yeah.
God, they're vile.
Well, no, but it's like taxes. When people think that they're using a loophole here or a loophole there, you always pay the tax. It's just when you pay the tax.
How you pay, at what point you
at what point you pay the tax, but the tax always gets paid. I don't know.
Unless you're a billionaire.
No, you die first and your kids pay it, and that's back to the original conversation.
I'm trying to figure out the human mindset where, like, material possessions, money, whatever, put you on, a hero status. Does it?
I know.
Or does it? Does it go back to kings and serfs? And
the money can somehow buy you virtue.
Yeah, or does it go back to?
Well, it buys you power. There's a sense. No, there's a sense that if you have those things, you're worthy, or you're smart, or you are powerful.
Yes.
All of that goes together. I mean, we confer all of these virtues and some that aren't virtues on people who present themselves as, having stuff.
Yeah, just having stuff. And it's still, it's like, I guess, because of my own personality, I have stuff and I brag about getting it from the Goodwill.
I know. Well, you're like my son. He does the same thing.
Yeah, but Clarence has a really good eye.
Well, just real quick.
My son, you said that.
Just real quick on this, Lynn. I bought a jacket from the Goodwill for $8.99. Never heard of the designer or whatever it came from. I come home and look it up.
It was
on sale for like $1,000. On sale.
Yeah.
For $1,000.
Yeah.
I was like,
what was the designer?
I can't
remember the designer.
Well, you know what? If you give me I want to talk as I walk upstairs to my closet.
I think it was that true. Didn't you put that on your face?
Yeah, I put it on my Facebook page because I was shocked at the price of that jacket. It was shocking. And I also found this lamp for $20 that ended up being like $800 and something. It was an antique lamp. It's called Etro, ETRO.
Yeah, Etro. I remembered. I have a memory for most
and you know what?
thing.
I never heard of it. I never heard of that.
Made in Italy. Here's the thing. There were 2 of them there. And I only bought one because I had just packed up like 25 jackets to donate because I had 50. I packed up 25 to donate. As I said, I'm not buying any more jackets, but I really like the jacket, so I bought it. And then there was another one there. I said, no, I'll put this one back. So I go back 5 days later. I could have went back the next day because they're worth $1,000, but I didn't. I said, there's some other poor slob get lucky. But I go back 5 days later to donate. And I look at it, still there. So I bought that one too. So now I have $2,000 jackets for $8.99. That some sucker paid $1,000 for,
or more,
or more. Exactly.
All right.
Okay.
All right, you. Thank you. It's always good to hear from you.
I told you.
Just keep every once in a while look down. Because I probably hung up more than once. Look down and say,
all right, I am sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Thank
That's
you.
All right. You're welcome.
Bye.
Okay. All right, bye.
Bye. Oh, man.
Speaking of 3 weeks, yes.
Speaking of that, of us valuing things, I came upon 2 little bits in that Sunday thing in the New York Times, the Metropolitan Diary, that are seemingly totally inconsequential little memories that people have of their lives. And I was so taken by them because these are the things that make life special, not stuff. Memory can, experience can. Let me share just one with you so you see what I mean. Here's a guy named Julio Maestro. And he writes in that it was around 1952 when I was 10. Okay? So this guy is now, quick, Susan.
Wait a minute, tell me again. He was 10 when?
He's 80 in 52, so he's 80.
Okay.
He's 80.
Yeah.
He's 80 years old. This is an 80-year-old guy writing in with a memory and sharing it. And his memory delights me 70 years later and is of more value than whatever that jacket is. So okay, here it is.
Well, to you maybe, but go ahead. One.
Yeah, I didn't even hear it because I so disagree with what you said. I'm right about this. This is of more value, Julio's memory. It was around 1952. I was 10, and I liked it that my family had to change from the downtown D to the local AA at West 4th Street. The vertical I-beams on the platform that had vending machines that dispensed miniature chocolate bars for a penny a pop. I always pulled on the little plungers to see if chocolate bars would appear magically without the requisite pennies. One day, ta-da! The plungers on all 4 machines were not working, and I was filling my pockets with free chocolates just as the local pulled into the station. I got on the train with my family. I saw another boy approaching. "Free chocolates!" I yelled, pointing to one of the machines. "It's jammed!" As we pulled away in the direction of Spring Street, I was happy to see the boy busily milking the machine at a furious pace. There's something so wonderful about that little memory. And this is the stuff of life that's important. And then there's this other long one of a memory from 1975 of going into the city with her girlfriend, 2 girls from Far Rockaway, and they caught the A train
Mm-hmm.
And she talks about how she, you know, is looking at everything, and they go through the tunnel into Manhattan and the lights in the car flickering as the train screeched into each stop. It's such a vivid memory. And I thought, geez, where's she taking us? Where's this going? And then they emerge into the bright sunlight. They go to Greenwich Village, and they are just blown away by all the stuff. And she said all the teenagers that were just a few years older and way more hip than us, and art posters and jewelry and T-shirts and all this stuff. And then I'm still thinking, where's this going? And she says the profusion of goods was beyond exciting to us. We drank it all in, flapped enthusiastically over a few small purchases, and tried our best to tune into the culture surrounding us. To save money, each of us had brought a sandwich along. At one point, we found a side street. We sat on a curb between two parked cars and had our picnic. Beth's sandwich had coleslaw on it. Something I had never thought to add. It created a seismic shift in how I thought about food. Isn't that wonderful? It's like she's telling us this thing in this story, and it turns out that
it's coleslaw.
is that, my God, you can put coleslaw.
That's like my favorite deli sandwich is coleslaw, chopped liver, and turkey on rye. Oh, that is so good.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying that these are the things. The things you remember. Now, she's remembering back to 75, so that's, just, wow. This is the stuff. Not a jacket, not a designer this, not anything of material value. It's, that wonderful day where you sat on the curb between two parked cars and Beth had coleslaw on her sandwich. I just love it. All right.
That's just a New York deli takeaway. That's where I learned about it. So that.
I think. Well, that's I don't know. Well, isn't that what they call? No, it's like a what's the sandwich that has coleslaw on it in Russian dressing?
Oh, that's a Reuben. But it doesn't have coleslaw. It has sauerkraut.
Well,
cabbage in another form.
Then there's something called a Rachel that doesn't have it has
turkey instead of pastrami
and coleslaw, I think, and Russian dressing. I think that was one I liked when I don't know. So listen, we live in crazy times, as crazy or crazier than ever. And I see a quote here from some political consultant, and he's saying, crazy times deserve crazy politicians. Who do you think he's referring to? I mean, that's not a fair question because there are so many.
There's a lot of candidates.
Yeah, but this one is someone who has just reemerged and has thrown her hat.
Oh, crazy Palin.
Crazy Palin. So Sarah Palin, for those of you who happily don't know this yet, is running for the only congressional seat from the great state of Alaska. She wants to be in the House. And I don't think she really wants to be in the House. I think she wants attention.
Yeah, she just wants people to stop paying attention to her. So. Yeah,
right. So this is a vacancy that's created by the death of the guy who held the thing for a million years, Don Young. And they're talking about whether or not she's going to get in and how she was Trump before Trump was Trump.
Right.
That she greased the skids for him.
She wrote the handbook on how to be totally ignorant, stupid, and still succeed.
And to see how it works. It works. Don't be afraid here. It works. So, listen to this. This I found out that I didn't know. Here's how they're going to do this thing. She's running against 51 other candidates, including Santa Claus. This is perfect for these times in our politics.
Well, Santa Claus is not a resident of Alaska, so.
Well, he's on the ballot. So there's 51, and this is the way they do it. They don't have separate primaries, Republicans and Democrats. They have this one big anybody can get in primary. And then the 4 top people, vote getters from that primary, go into the general election. So she's first got to get in the top 4 of this big crowd. And that's questionable, frankly. And then they do ranked voting in that general, which everybody's saying here will hurt her because somebody's got to get 50%. And it could be that what they say is in Alaska, not to mention other parts of the country, Palin fatigue long ago set in, and they don't want that again. So we'll see. But she's back because she wants some attention, I think. But
her daughter gets more attention for having a baby with I don't know which husband. That's time for Sarah to get back in action.
I can't keep track of that family. What? She's divorced now, right?
She's with Sarah. Yes.
No. Yeah, Sarah. Sarah is divorced.
Yes.
I'm looking for something. I hate this when I can't find stuff. I hate this, and it happens all the time, doesn't it?
Apparently.
It's not important stuff like my
So let me just ask while you're looking, because I'm curious. Did you watch the Grammys?
Yeah.
That's a good show.
It's always a good show. Although I have to say that I can't understand why there's not more, and I'm okay with it because although there's not more rap in it, because rap, God damn it. Never mind. I don't need to share that, Lynn. Damn it. Don't need to share it.
Yeah, I want you to know what this sounds like. Damn it. Don't need to share that. Damn it. Don't share that. Don't. You sound like Lady Gaga whispering to Liza Minnelli, for heaven's sakes.
Oh. I thought Lady Gaga's thing was a little odd.
Lady Gaga, first of all, she sounded terrible. Second of all, there was something wrong with her arm. It kept twitching. And,
Yeah, she was bad.
She was bad.
She was awful.
She's never bad. Yeah. She was awful.
She was like
she was off key.
It was awful.
She was off key. It was just not. No.
Wait, I've got my producers now saying, reminder, caller. I have another caller. All right. All right, Kevin. I heard you the second time. No.
Who's Kevin?
Kevin's my producer. You're the caller. Kevin is helping to get onto the goddamn show.
She's yelling at you now.
Okay. I am pissed off about something. Okay, go ahead. It has nothing to do with you.
Well, first of all,
and I said,
Kevin.
Go ahead.
And good morning, ladies.
She said, go ahead. Did you get it?
I did. I had owned up to it.
Okay.
Roger, why the hell would you want to get in on this craziness?
Well, it's what you guys, what Clarence called, and you're talking about are things better or worse, and it's a mixed bag. But really, I mean, things, being a privileged white guy, of course, things are better back in the good old days for me, but I wouldn't want to live back then, I mean, but the problem today
we'd all be dead. We'd all be dead. I would be dead so many times over. I mean, my life has been saved over and over again by things that did not exist, 100 years ago.
I mean, here's the thing. Yeah, when people say, well, I think you were talking about the other day, when your son was little and you made him say hello to the gentleman behind you or wherever, and that lady was like, why would you do that? Because I'm sure in her mind, in today's world, you can't be too cautious, I guess.
Well, that's where she was. No, but that's what she was teaching. She thought I should be teaching my child that strangers are dangerous. And I never did that.
And I'm glad you are, because guess what? I mean, I think it is safer for children and women and people of color today and homosexuals than ever in our history. Seriously.
Probably.
Because we got so many things out there to protect them and laws and I mean, we just, what makes people scared is we just know more. And I always say
that's right.
Like, if a squirrel farts in San Diego, we hear about it.
That's right.
I mean, we just know more, but you're
and it clogs up our brains with it's distracting, and it ultimately gives us a false impression of our world.
Oh, absolutely. And on another note, I know last week you and I were discussing, and I got taken to task a little bit because people thought I was defending Will Smith. I wasn't defending him. I was just saying, like, I don't want this to be the end-all, be-all that should define him. Will it? You're probably right, it will. I'm hoping that he, over time, makes good on really being apologetic and I think he understands, because everything I've read and seen of this man is he's a good person from a good family. You don't know. Well, I know, but the persona that's been given by the credible likes of People Magazine and Entertainment Tonight, he came from a working class family. His parents have instilled very strong morals within them, and and that's the impression here's what I've learned since this.
Apparently his father was an alcoholic who beat his mother.
Yes, and his wife.
Yeah.
Yes, Roger, you gotta get up to speed here.
Right.
His wife too publicly cuckolds him. She's bragged about having a younger lover, and stuff like this. Right. And part of his need to, I don't know. I don't know whether to feel sorry for him. I don't know what, but he screwed himself up big time.
Okay,
really good.
Let me ask you this. What would have happened, let's say, at the Academy Awards, and John Wayne went up and slapped Bob Hope?
Bob Hope would have fallen down and crying.
I don't know. It's not. Come on. John Wayne did almost accost the Native American woman that was accepting the award for Marlon
Brando.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I need to get I need to know. I got to study my stars and be up to speed like you two.
You have to know all of the nonsense that we have buried in our brains.
I don't know what you're
cluttered up with knowing media. I know the brands of Clarence's jackets, for crying out loud.
Well, that's important.
God knows that's important.
Did either of you watch Bill Maher from last Friday at all?
I can't stomach him.
Well, there's his final segment. I just caught where he does his final diatribe.
Well, those are often funny. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I find that more interesting because some of the stuff just drives me crazy. But he was talking about in 2010 when the Republican presidential candidates were coming up and throwing their hat in the ring for 2012, and we thought they were nuts then. And he was comparing them to what we have now. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And what's funny is when they call each other rhinos. You know who the rhino is? We know everybody who's on Trump's coattails and Trump, those aren't Republicans. They're not Republicans.
Well, they're not. Okay. Well, yeah, a case could certainly be made, but listen. The Republican Party is in no way, shape, or form what it was. Yeah, whatever. It was the anniversary of John Heinz's untimely death, Senator Heinz's death in a plane crash yesterday. I noted it. He would no more have joined or been affiliated with this Republican Party. Really, I think I said then, Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah. He would not. And it's just unbelievable. Okay.
But real quick, this is last thing. He said, what Bill Maher said, and this is what I think we all probably know already, that their political platform really is, should they just say, fuck you? That's their platform.
Yeah.
That's all they stand for right now. And that's really meaningful for our young people to embrace.
Yeah. Thank you, Roger.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
The progression of senators explaining why they aren't going to vote for
Jackson.
For Jackson. She is certainly qualified. She is very impressive. She has she is more than capable of doing this job, and therefore I simply cannot vote for her.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what they're saying. They let the string of compliments, and then they say, and therefore, I cannot vote for her. So I guess what we need to understand from this is that unless somebody is unqualified and only subscribes to whatever it is their judicial philosophy, like that's what they're supposed to have.
They can't be. What the problem is that a Democrat nominated her. I mean, that's it. That makes her a pariah and somebody that, you can't give him the win. That's it. That's all. And they won't say that. They
might as well, because they sound so damn stupid.
Yeah, I know.
Of course, that's nothing new for them. They seem to relish.
Okay, I got two things. I've been sitting on this since last week because our conversation last week about trans athletes begot something from Brooke, who writes this. I have been a soccer coach for many years now. In our league and in many leagues, children under the age of 8 learn to play the game on co-ed teams. It is not until they reach the age of 9 that our kids are separated onto girls or boys teams. It has been like this for as long as I can remember. And it is clear to me that this is done because at the age of 9, the boys begin to dominate and intimidate on the field. I'm still struggling with how I feel about this issue of trans women in sports, but I can see it firsthand at a very young age that it is necessary to split the boys from the girls. If we didn't, I feel we would lose many of the female players. The only counter I have to this is that once in a blue moon, you will have a set of parents who insist that their daughter continue to play on the boys' team. And those girls over time become stars because they are being forced by their parents, or maybe they want to play with dominating males.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. They up their game.
It ups their game.
But a lot of girls, it would not up their game. It would, to use another it would just intimidate them, and they would.
But the other thing is girls are not generally, when they compete on boys' teams, competing in positions that don't work with their body type. So, I mean, on a football team, for example, you ain't going to find one playing tight end, but you might find one as a kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's still, it's still sorts. The problem, I'll just go back to saying what I think. The problem is this all or nothing approach. The problem is that whenever you don't treat people as individuals, you get it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's true. Or whenever you don't treat people as, this is a little off what your line of thinking is, as constantly evolving individuals, you get it wrong. That's where the so-called cancel culture gets it wrong. People change.
And sometimes they make mistakes and actually grow from them.
Yes. Well, my sense has always been that the only way we grow is through mistakes. I don't know many people who grow through success. You don't.
You grow because you don't want to be humiliated again, so you learn.
Right. But usually, I mean, success, if anything, tends to harm somebody, tends to make them, too sure of themselves or too proud. Success goes before the fall. It is mistakes, pain, humiliation, falling down that where progress comes from. And I know that it's been alluded to on the Ben Franklin thing that although he did not do the right thing by his slaves, and on the issue, he did evolve over time. By insisting that everybody gets to the same point at an exact, when you decide it. Okay, here's a new thing. There's more than just male and female. There's stuff in between. Now that is mind-blowing to almost everybody on the globe. It is. And to expect this immediate, oh yeah, sure, I got it, I'm with you, is first of all denying human nature in many ways. And it's also denying that people need time to grow.
Right. And
it doesn't happen overnight.
No. And to be clear, it was pointed out also in last night's portion on Ben Franklin that even though his thinking evolved, it still came from a place of racism, and that what he his problem with it is that Franklin was nothing if not industrious. And it was his industriousness that propelled him where he went, even more than his ambition, because he worked and worked and worked and worked, and he felt that slaves made white people soft,
lazy. Yeah, because they didn't work. They
didn't know how to do anything.
So he thought it was bad for white people to have black people doing all the work.
He didn't look at it from another point of view.
No, and he also, I want to point out that his bigotry was not just, and it's interesting, to early on, when Pennsylvania began to attract immigrants,
he hated everybody.
He was freaked out by the fact that people from Germany, Italy, Spain, France, Finland, I think, made the cut, or Sweden, that people from these countries, and he called them swarthy. Yeah, I'm sure Finns are really swarthy.
I know.
So he called them all swarthy. Now that's interesting, because that shows that if you want to make somebody not, something bad, you darken them.
Darken them.
You darken them, whether they're dark or not. But so what was fascinating is he didn't want those people. He flat out said they're going to, Germanize our culture, our language, rather than us Anglifying them. And so this is classic. And all the German, Italian, French, Finnish, and whatever racists in the country now would be well advised to understand that at one point they were looked on in the same way that they are looking at people trying to get into this country from South America.
Yep.
People are such idiots. Anyway,
everybody was always hated by someone. Isn't that nice?
Yeah. Here's something that I didn't. There was something weird. I just saw it out of the corner of my eye when they put a page of Poor Richard's Almanac up when he first started printing.
Right.
And it had just the date. It was the date, but in 1725. But underneath the date, what caught my eye was he said that he had 4 other dates. And the one that caught my eye was the one that said Hebrew or Jewish. It said Hebrew or Jewish, that the date was 5422 or something. Now that is fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the other dates were, but he acknowledged, yeah, we say it's 17, this and that. But the Jews think it's 54. They got a different calendar.
They've been counting longer.
They've been counting longer, and here is their count. And then there were some others that I didn't catch because it was literally up there for a second. And bang, I saw it. I thought, that's amazing. I was even thinking, how the hell did he even know that? Wow. So.
Because he read everything.
Okay. And I just want to say this, because we're out of time. And I'll let Lou have the last word. It's so sweet of her. She says, I'm assuming Lou is Lou, how wonderful it is to hear all of you together again. She wrote this when Clarence was on. Really making my day. First time listening after a hiatus. Keep it up, Clarence, and you two are wonderful together. There you go. Isn't that nice?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, got a great guest coming up tomorrow. He's going to blow a lot of minds. A different perspective on getting control of drinking and drug problems. A way, way, way different perspective turns AA and the 12-step program on its proverbial head. And I think this guy's a genius. All right, Suze.
Okay, Lynn. Talk soon.
Bye. 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 Okay, guys? Really, try to get to
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.